So you might already notice that there's a brand new wave of healers right now. And these are not the people who can just regurgitate to you what the chakras are and tell you manifestation techniques like an AI bot. These are folks who are actually living and breathing and really embodying whatever the heck they are teaching. They're not just talking about it in theory. They're not just telling you about breath work and somatics and healing and therapy and shadow work and plants and this and that. They're actually utilizing all of those things and applying the curriculum for themselves. And this is brand new for a lot of healers because there is this desire to be for other people when you come into the healing arts. When you discover a tool for yourself and you're just like, wow, this is amazing, this changed my life, you feel really empowered to share it with other people, which is part of your mission, but it is not the mission. There's a part of you that's like, wow, I just discovered X, Y, and Z, so I gotta tell everybody about it. I discovered this thing, I gotta tell everybody about it, and I gotta teach it, I gotta do this, and da-da-da. And there's kind of this self-serving prophecy of doing for others that's going to shift and pivot, if it hasn't already, for you as a healer or somebody who's in the healing arts adjacently, whatever sexy title you want to take on, a coach, a therapist, a social worker, a teacher, a nurse, a doula. It doesn't matter. You are a healer. Get over it. You are going to notice that you're going to want to do for yourself way more than you want to do for other people. And this navigation is going to make you pivot so many different things in your life. Things that are your businesses, things that maybe is your career, things that are your offers, things that are your entrepreneurial journeys, things that are your, day-to-day things that you're typically used to doing. You're going to notice, I don't want to do this anymore. And you're going to feel selfish about it. You're going to feel like, oh my gosh, like I'm supposed to help people. It's going to feel way more selfish than you're used to because you've been showing up for others, doing for others, nurturing others, providing for others. And maybe it didn't feel like it came from a people-pleasing energy. It wasn't just like, oh my gosh, look at all the things that I do for other people and nobody, da da da. Maybe it comes from that energy. Maybe it comes from a little bit of resentment and bitterness. But perhaps you start to notice actually, even when you really did those things from the purity of your heart, you just don't want to do it anymore. You feel like there's a different way the energy within yourself, your heart, your existence is going to want to translate right now in this season, and you're going to listen to that. And this new wave of healers, what they're doing is embracing that selfishness. And it's not easy. There's some guilt, there's some shame, there's some, am I doing, should I be? There is some residue of that, but for the most part, these healers understand that you got to do for yourself right now and really embody the life that you want to live. So if you're teaching people about manifestation, what does that mean for you to not act upon yours? If you're teaching people to get rid of people-pleasing behaviors or perfectionism and imposter syndrome and this and that, what does it mean for you to get rid of yours? What does it mean for you to work through the things that you're training and teaching other people, but not really embodying yourself? And the last few years, and there's over 400 episodes on the Playground podcast, if you want to go through, scroll and look and listen to that, we were already on the pathway to embodiment. We were already in that version of the embodiment as we knew it in that moment in time. But now there's this other sense of this embodiment. You're really just cutting things off left and right. And it's not coming from a place of I'm protecting my energy and I'm protecting myself. It doesn't come from a sense of protecting or repelling. It comes from a sureness of who you actually are, what your essence is, and what your soul actually wants to experience in this chapter of your life. Okay? 2-3 years down the line, we'll have a different conversation about what embodiment and that energy looks like and in that stage of our lives look like. But in this moment in time, this new wave of healers are really taking back the energy to themselves. They're saying, how is it that I show up for myself before I show up for all the things that I'm not actually obligated to show up for, but maybe I've given myself this obligation. And in the past, it was actually a nice obligation and I really liked it and I felt really empowered by it. But now I don't feel empowered by it. It's actually sucking up my energy. It's actually draining me. It's moving me in a direction where I'm not desiring to grow, where I'm actually feeling trapped, where I'm not feeling like I'm in the most alive version of myself. So what am I going to do about it? Am I going to sit and complain? Or am I going to make the necessary adjustments required for me to be in the embodiment of my own life? How do I actually live my life in a way that feels fulfilling and expansive and alive without blaming everybody around me? So this new wave of healers, you're going to notice that businesses are going to close. Hobbies are going to get more attention. People are going to start to explore a lot more of their mystical codes, things that are coded in their physical bodies, more connection to nature. They're going to start telling stories in a different way, breaking systems that they were already in the path of breaking, creating new systems and pathways, not even subscribing to a system at all, and actually coming back to the aliveness of their hearts. So we're talking travel, we're talking about colors, we're talking about flavors, we're talking about people, we're talking about dance, we're talking about frivolousness, things that don't actually have any purpose except for you to just enjoy things. You know, like, why do you do this? It's like, I just enjoy it. Like, why do you do that? Like, there's no purpose to it, but that's the purpose. Like, there's things that you do that are purposeless that actually feed more of your purpose than not. So this new wave of healers, you're one of them. If you're listening to this, you're going to feel like now you're becoming an activator, that it's not about you teaching and showing and vocalizing and verbalizing. You might still have some of that. It's not a bad or a good thing if you do or don't. Teachers are always necessary, but your teaching is actually coming from being embodied in your thing. You're actually activating other people and inspiring other people to do whatever it is that you are doing. So if you're living freely, if you are living in a way where you're able to use your voice, you're singing, you're creating, you're making music, you're studying, you're not doing this, you are doing that. That is an activation for many different people who perhaps don't have the courage to do those things for themselves, but by witnessing you, by feeling you, by sensing your energy, now they're feeling motivated to be like, wait a second, maybe some of that is possible for me too. Maybe not in the way that she's doing it, not in the way that they're showing me, but some version of that is true for me too. And there is an art form in treating the world like your playground. Is that, how can you say the world is your playground if you won't play? You know, and everybody wants to play in a different way, different variation and a different version of what it means to play. And when you're playing in your own way, there's going to be all of these different curious people that say, wow, I actually want to do that too. And how are you being so brave? And it's not that you're so courageous because back in privacy, you're having your own panics, you're having your own, navigation and your own dialogue and your own fear and your own desire for new adventure. You're having all of that, and simultaneously you're taking a chance on yourself. And that's the greatest thing that you can do, to take a chance on yourself when you're scared shitless, when you don't know what it's going to be like on the other side of it, when you don't know, you're taking a risk, you're just trusting your gut, you're trusting your intuition, you're trusting God, you're trusting source, and you're believing that something's going to work out for you. Something happens, something magical happens. All of the sources in the universe start to line up for you to make this path possible for you. And when you do that, there's other people behind you too that also want to make similar decisions. They want to make similar changes in their life. They want to live in a different way. They want to experience different things. And they too navigate age and money and friends and relationships and comforts and this and society and blah, blah, blah. All of these different things will always be in the back of any of our hearts, any of our minds. But when you trust yourself, when you trust that this is the path of your most embodied version of you, that you know how in this chapter of yourself, trust that. Be the most embodied in this version of yourself. Again, in 2 years, if we talk again and you're a different embodied version, all right, we'll meet you then. And 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, we'll meet you then. But here, in this moment in time, you're not the 3 years ago version of you. You're not the 5 years ago version of you. You're not the X amount of time version of you. You're this version of you. And this version requires different care. It requires different comforts, different soothing, different navigation, different narration, different love, different everything. And that's okay to meet yourself here. And that's what you're doing, this new wave of healers. And heal yourself around the word healer. Like, I don't heal anybody. I'm not a magician. Da, da, da. No. You're an activator. Change that word however it is that you need to understand you're healing other people by just being in the most expressed version of you that you can be, with everything that you've gone through, with your traumas, your childhood, your this and that, and parents and society and patriarchy and blah, 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 all of these different things, you're still you. You're this version of you that has worked through the shadows, that was working through all the different things. You will continue. All of us, it's never done. Every day is a new shit. It's never done like that. But in this version, take that chance on you. So as this wave rises, you're going to notice that perhaps you are closing doors on certain things, closing doors on certain chapters, closing doors on certain thoughts and certain ways of being, and a new energy is rising. So it is okay that you feel selfish, and it is okay that you feel that all of your energy, all of your time, all of your attention is going towards you rather than the way that you've been in the past, giving to others, showing up for others. It's nothing wrong with that. You can still do any version of that, only if it feels right to you. Only if it feels like you're still giving yourself that primary care, that primary, boom, that boost that you need first and utmost first. And if you have no energy afterwards to do it for others, then you don't. Okay. I understand responsibility to kids and spouses and this and that job and da. Yes and yes and yes. But to you too. Right? To you in the most possible way that you can, because that spills into the activation that other people experience from you. You being a sovereign mom, you being a sovereign woman, you being a sovereign person, a sovereign friend, a sovereign daughter, a sovereign whatever. You care about yourself, so you show up better. You show up full, you show up more embodied, you show up with more care, you show up with less of your wounds, less of your wounds, you show up with less of that residue, and that's just the best that we can do. All right. So if you are this next wave of healers, I'm experiencing so many of you right now, and it's so beautiful and it's so inspiring. It's inspiring to see that there's other people who are not attached to the version of them that they spent so long building, not attached to the experiences that they enjoyed having, but to open up the world in such a beautiful way that opens up the possibilities in such a beautiful way, and you get to experience the world in a way that you could not have imagined. All right, friends, if you're not already subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. And remember, the world is your playground. And until next time, I will catch you soon.